Welcome back, everybody, to Verdane TV. One final show, one final big hurrah, and then we're off to the real racing season for both TCM and here at Verdane TV. It's been a phenomenal winter, a phenomenal fall, and we just saw a phenomenal WrestleMania. Lots of wrestling fans out there. I know Dylan, big wrestling fan, up here in the booth with me as well. We're getting ready for 250 laps here at South Boston Speedway, the third annual TCM All-Star Showcase, tonight presented by Shady Brook Enterprises, and it's bringing together about 24 of the season's best drivers, and they're going to compete for this one final showdown. Noel Fougere has already locked in the championship. We're not going to talk about that too much throughout the show. We're going to talk to Noel, we're going to talk to the champ after the race here tonight and in the post-race show, as well as the top three finishers. Showtime, Paul Strickland Jr. up here in the broadcast booth here tonight, joined by dazzling Dylan Langile and Jesse Thompson. Dylan, how we doing tonight, brother?
I'm good. We had some fun last night with the TCM live show, and I was just talking off air. I haven't done too many of the iRacing events this offseason. It's just been a bit busier doing some hockey, but we're going to finish off here strong with the third annual TCM All-Star Showcase. The iRacing stuff, for me at least, announcing, I kind of picked that up during the pandemic, and as we're kind of trailing out here, we're getting ready for the real racing season, and one guy I can't wait to get back in the booth with at least a couple of times this year is Jesse Thompson from Petty Raceway. Jesse, how are we tonight?
Absolutely wonderful, Dylan. Good to be back here virtually at the South Boston Speedway. I was here with Mike James a couple of nights ago. Got to see Ashton Tucker and Brandon Campbell put on a whale of a show and work their way into the big show here tonight. Like Paul said, we got about 24 of the the Maritimes, North America's top super late model drivers on iRacing. They are ready to put on a show here for 250 green flag laps.
Yeah, you said it. It's kind of a hodgepodge of different drivers. Of course, Maritime heavy here with Tim's Corner Motorsports. You can see the starting lineup as we get ready for the Shady Brook Showcase, TCM All-Star Showcase 250, but number of Maritime drivers, a few Ontarians in the mix, North Carolina driver and Brett Suggs, and it's just going to be really a who's who of the TCM All-Star drivers we see all the time here. We're going to get that field rolling here in just a moment. I'm very excited, 250 laps. This is for all the marbles, as Paul mentioned, for the TCM iRacing Championship this year. Noel Fougere, the anthem singer at Riverside Speedway. Hope he's working on his pipes for June. He's basically locked up that championship, Jesse. But tonight, it's bragging rights. You get the last big iRacing win before we go back to the real racetrack, because we're not going to be doing iRacing probably till November, December again. And also, Jesse, kind of a mishmash with the starting lineup, too, because Brandon Campbell's on the front row. How'd that happen?
Yeah, Campbell's going to line up position number one. A little bit of a random draw to set the field for this 250-lap war on wheels here at South Boston.
Maybe a bit mishmashed in more ways than one, Jesse. We're just getting word from Paul in our ear. We have the producer in our ear, which we could use the producer at the racetrack for real life, but looks like Dustin Mumbercat is going to be on the front row.
Yeah, you can take a look there on the left-hand side of your screen. Usually we're pretty good about having the starting lineup here. Doing things a little bit differently here tonight. A random pill draw for qualifying position throughout the entire field. 22 drivers here in tonight. The 3 fan vote drivers and the longest line. They're going to start in the back of the field, and they've got 250 laps to try and get themselves up to the front. But like you made mention, Dylan, looks like Mumbercat and Suggs going to be on the front row.
That's a dangerous front row right there, Jesse. I know you've announced some of these races and probably watched a couple of highlights. Brett Suggs, always a threat up front, and then you got Dustin Mumbercat, the Ontarian, who's won a few races here with TCM. And speaking of TCM, the man himself has just wandered into the virtual announcer booth. Mr. Tim Terry. Tim, last race of the iRacing season.
It is. I just wandered in here to make sure you guys were good on grid and everything else and ready to go. We're going to go green next time by. This has been fun. These guys are amped up, excited, ready to put on a show. Final race of the season. You boys have fun. This is going to be exciting.
1 to go signal given to the drivers. Dustin Mumbercat on the front row. Brett Suggs, as we mentioned, on the outside in row number 1. We got Matt Barkhouse, Noel Fougere, looking to try and celebrate a big championship here tonight. 250 laps will be the distance. It is the Tim's Corner Motorsports All-Star Showcase, presented by Shady Brook Enterprises. Off turn number 4, green flag in the air.
And right off the get-go, Dustin Mumbercat gets a great launch as we see all these drivers thundering down the backstretch here at Sobo. Big thanks again to our friends at Shady Brook Enterprises, a big supporter of maritime racing. And immediately we're going to get a caution because we have a big pile up there going into turn 3. Notice that Brett Suggs washed up the track a little bit. And caution laps, well, we may be under him a little bit here. We're going to replay all tuned up here, Jesse, to see what exactly transpired. And, you know, there was so many cars, about 22 on track. It was bound to happen. I didn't think it was going to be happening, 3/4 of a lap in, though.
Yeah, just as we went to green there, I saw a little bit of Noel Fougere maybe in the 36 car going around. We will check here on the replay from our blimp view. Move up a couple spots. There we go. We'll catch up there. Oh, looks like a little bit of bumper tag there. And Josh Langell in the 18/26. Nowhere to go. Ashton Tucker, our winner from the other night, having to get hard on the binders. Looks like everybody's able to get away. Maybe a couple cars worse for wear.
The good thing is that Jesse already locked up the Noel already locked up the championship. So he's just racing for fun, essentially, tonight. But a few cars with a little bit of damage. Looks like Craig Kenny's number 90 has some damage. There's Josh Langell driving the Bubba Pollard tribute there. Number 18 on the screen, number 26 in your heart with a little bit of damage. There's Danny Vitch from The Rock. He was able to make his way in via the points, via the voting last night with TCM Live. There's Brandon Campbell. Hard to believe that super late model got started compared to his Hondas, but there we are, and there's our champion Noel Fougere. And Ashton Tucker, as you mentioned, Jesse, you announced his race a few nights ago. He raced his way in. A lot of damage there on Chris Roma. They have 12 sets of tires on these cars, the 4 on right away and 2 others, and no quick repairs. You're going to have to go down the pits and eventually fix that damage. And it's not just the cosmetic, it's the interior as we are on board with Dustin Mumbercat. The cool thing with virtual racing, if you take a look, well, it's going to hurt the things internally as well virtually, right, Jesse?
Absolutely. All it takes is a little bit of knock to the suspension. That car is going to be out of whack and could hurt you for the rest of the evening. We will try to get this thing going one more time. Off turn number 4, green flag back in the air. Mumbercat. Barkhouse now going to jump to the inside, try and close the gap up front.
I know that Mumbercat is going to be doing some big-time racing in Ontario this summer. Same with Matt Barkhouse. Believe he's getting a sportsman car all ready to go. Taking a few years off during the pandemic, but it'll be great to see him and the whole Alexander crew back at the racetrack here. Of course, Mike doesn't stop designing all the cars along with Kurt Alexander. And there is one of the hotshot rookies who is on top of his game in 2021 there, Jesse. Tanton Woolridge in the 56 dominated Bandolero Racing in 2021, moving up to Legends Racing. He's going to be doing some big things coming up this season.
Absolutely, a couple of track championships under the belt for car number 56. He has got Mike Alexander, the Xander Signs, Arnar Kinsman's number 75 to the outside. That is a good-looking race car, the 88 car. Another driver to watch, virtually and in the real world. It is Caden Tufts. Tufts all over the bumper of Tanton Woolridge, something he has kind of experienced before.
Yeah, that's the cool thing with this virtual racing. It kind of blends to the real racetrack later on. Those drivers, Tanton Woolridge and also Campbell Delaney and Caden Tufts, they've all tangled in the Bando division. And I know we're going to see Caden Tufts and Delaney in some legend cars soon enough here, moving up divisions at Scotia Speedworld, at Petty, and with Maritime League of Legends, I'm sure. So some good two-wide racing there between Mikey Alexander and Tanton Woolridge. And that's the cool thing I've said a few times, Jesse, with iRacing. You know, it doesn't matter if someone's 40 or 15. You can all get on the track at the same time here from the comfort of your own home and have some fun on iRacing. 13 laps in the third annual TCM All-Star Showcase, brought to you by Shady Brook Enterprises. Oh, Ryan Messer, Big Orange, was big riding the wall there, and I think Delaney may have been tangled up there with Ryan Messer. A lot of damage there, the number one. That's going to be a guy to look out for in the pro stock racing scene in New Brunswick. Had some great runs and a couple of wins under his belt at Speedway 660 last year, Jesse. You were there to watch a few of those.
Absolutely, Ryan Messer, no stranger to victory lane virtually and in the real world. Had some great races one season ago during the TCM Special Events series. And right now he is dropped in. We'll check time and scoring. He is back to 12th at the moment. He's got Craig Kenny all over the bumper now. Possibly a little bit of a suspension knock, as we mentioned a little bit ago. Dylan Black just ahead of him. Our big sponsor for tonight's event, Shady Brook Enterprises. If you're looking for any sort of excavating work, you talk to the folks there and talk to Dylan Black, and be sure to thank them for all they do to support this series.
Yeah, great guy, Dylan Black. And I know with the Hot Rod Classics, Jesse, Shady Brook Enterprises supports Lori Hutz, number 35, Monte Carlo. And Lori's looking forward to getting back on the vintage racing scene this year with 7 races coming up. And this is the cool thing with the All-Star Showcase, Jesse. We're about a month away from racing. Speedway 660 will have their opener on Sunday, May 15th. So we're closing in just over a month of downtime before it's go time for real racing. And this is the last iRacing event. We've been a little bit lighter with Tim going down to Florida and the Carolinas for a little bit this winter, but we sure did got our fair share of racing, as we can see the 29 starting to drift on this outside lane here at South Boston. 0.4 of a mile oval, one of the most famous racetracks in not just Virginia but also the States, and that number 29 car is just slowly falling back. Daniel Vitch falling all the way to the back of the field.
Yeah, here at South Boston, once you get on that outside groove, sometimes all you can do is watch the cars drive by on the inside and hope you've got a place to stick the nose to the inside and try and get back to the bottom. As you see there, Jason Ricker there trying to use the bottom of the racetrack, dip a couple wheels underneath the yellow line, see if he can get a little bit of an advantage, rather, up on the track. And he's got the 13 of Dave Cassidy, the old Rollie McDonald colors, in behind him, and Ricker had a great run the other night, had the podium position all locked up, and the last restart, a little bit of contact, a little bit of spun tires, and sent him back to 4th, and that was his only mistake the other night. So watch him in the last 225 laps of this one.
Yeah, still a whole lot of racing left to go. Want to thank you all for watching on Tim's Corner Motorsports Facebook or Vidane TV. If you're watching on Facebook or YouTube, leave a comment who you're rooting for, where you're watching from, and who you're going to be cheering for when real racing kicks off here in, like we said, just about a month. Dylan Angel from Riverside Speedway, Heart of a Champion, Valley Raceway, Jesse Thompson. A lot of things under your belt as well coming up here in 2022. And coming under Dustin Mumbercat's belt potentially, maybe Matt Barkhouse and Brett Suggs and Magic Mike Alexander, all those drivers, and throw Tanton Woolridge. You know what? They're all just stuck in a line. They're real close together here.
Nowhere to go here at South Boston and nowhere to be for a little bit, so these drivers all going to stay in line. You know, no real lap money to try and chase, so it's better to just stay in line, kind of hang back, watch what the other drivers do, because somebody like Richard Drake is going to push up the track a little bit. And yeah, he's got Jason Ricker, as we mentioned, all over the back bumper of him. The Kinetic Auto number 141 is one of the hot shoes in this series, and looking for some luck here tonight.
Yeah, he's real good at iRacing. Hope to see Richard race that Lightning car at Scotia Speedworld coming up. Didn't see him race in 2021 at Scotia Speedworld. I know he actually tried his announcer chops with Timmy up in the booth, so maybe we'll see Richard doing some color commentary again. And it's real cool since, he's done it all in a 4-cylinder at Scotia Speed World. Now we see a little movement up front as we can see some cars trying to get around. It looks like they were just passing someone on the bottom
it's like
there.
The 83 of
Chris Roma.
Yeah.
He's right off the pace, Jesse.
Yeah, just not the night Chris Roma wanted to have. He is all the way to the bottom of the racetrack. You got to imagine after enough laps down and
look out
off pace, something like that will happen. Ryan Messer getting the worst of that one. He lights it up. He keeps it going, and we are under caution.
Yeah, I could see that a mile away. Not enough real estate for a slower car and the rest of the lead lap traffic trying to maneuver around here. We're going to replay all tuned up here. Courtesy of our good buddy, Paul Strickland Jr. of Vidane TV. Yeah, Dave Cassidy just hammered on the brakes, and it just woed up a little too quick maybe for Ryan Messer's liking, and Ryan really had nowhere to go there and stuffed it right in the back of the 13 and goes below the apron. Doesn't look like a ton of damage there on Big Orange, but as you can see, Big Orange has been roughed up a little bit already this race. So we have 22 cars in this race, all cars still on track, although the 83 is a few laps down here, and maybe we are seeing the first pit stops for the leaders as Dustin Mumbercat, Brett Suggs, and a few others have pulled it down pit road to try and make some adjustments, maybe change some tires early, Jesse.
Yeah, I would imagine we might see a couple of 2-tire stops. We'll watch here and see what these guys do. But enough time's passed. This could be a 4-tire stop for these drivers. So yeah, they're going to pull out, not wait for one another. They're going to get back out onto the racetrack. I was thinking with Chris Roma there a little bit off the pace, and leaders trying to work their way around him. Just all the times watching, somebody like Rob Bonus or Craig Weigel trying to flag some lap traffic and keep things running, and sometimes you just run out of real estate.
That's for sure. Caution laps will count here in the 3rd annual TCM All-Star Showcase brought to you by Shady Brook Enterprises. Big thanks to Shady Brook. They're offering some prize money here. So the winner of this race will take home a couple extra bucks, buy a case of beer or get half a tank of gas, depending where you're filling up. You may want to wait till tomorrow, though. Price of gas is dropping in Nova Scotia. We're leaving here with Matt Barkhouse and Richard Drake staying out here with Ricker right behind. Josh Langell, who went to pit road pretty early on here, will be in 4th in the Bubba Pollard car. Craig Kenny still on track. Gahan, Rhino and Tucker, Vitch and Carpenter will be your top 10 on this restart.
Good looking field of race cars here. Lights out on the pace car. And it's Matt Barkhouse, Richard Drake on row number 1. They are coming to the restart box, and green flag back in the air. And Drake, wow, spun the tires. It's going to be a traffic jam down in turn number 1. Oh my
boy.
Goodness.
Wow. That looks like Riverside back in 2018.
There's going to be some upset messages being sent. I can see it now.
We'll get the replay all tuned up here. But man, oh man, what a pileup. And let's see exactly what happened. Definitely involved Richard Drake on the start here. So iRacing pace car pulls off.
Yeah.
Matt's the control car. He goes. Oh, Richard spun the tires.
Yeah. He stayed out, though, so he might have been on the old tires. Jason Ricker just getting a tap there. Oh, up on 2 wheels for just a moment for the 90 car of, I believe it's Craig Kenny, yes.
Yeah.
Mike Rhino just squeezing his way through. Ashton Tucker getting a little bit of a turn into the wall.
Brett Suggs gets slammed into a little bit there.
Yeah, Caden Tufts, good job for him getting hard on the brakes on the inside, not knowing where anybody's going to go. Dylan Black comes to a complete stop.
Mike Alexander just barely avoids the number 1 car.
Chris Roma up under the bottom of Dave Cassidy. I think that might be the hit that will do in the 83 car, but we will see.
The good thing, Jesse, it's virtual racing. Just imagine this happening at Petty or something.
Oh, we'd still be cleaning it up.
Yep. Wow. What a move. Probably the MVP of that, avoiding everything, I got to say, is Caden Tufts there. You can see on the onboard, he just was able to maneuver his way through, a little shake, rattle, and roll, and The 88 looks like they're going to be all good here. So under caution for the third time here. Again, caution laps do count. I want to thank you again for tuning into the third annual TCM All-Star Showcase and the unofficial Demo Derby we just had here. Looking through the comments, Riley Duncan's watching. They wrote, "Wish I was there tonight, but I'm stuck at work. Let's go BSRM." I'm assuming that's Brett Suggs Racing, I would assume. And also Camden Cottle is also cheering on Babe. Says, "Let's go Babe," Ryan Messer. So the better half is watching their Big Orange.
Yeah, Ryan getting some airtime. Maybe not the way he would like, but still a long way to go in this one. We've got about 208 laps or so left to go. I don't believe Messer is off the lead lap. I will double check here with time and scoring. Doesn't look like it, even though he's had a couple of spins so far. So the Waterfront Pub and Eatery #1 going to have some work to do here tonight.
Tell you what, though, I'm surprised that Richard Drake made that mistake, and I know that they would have been on older tires, but that's a mistake they don't usually make, but it happened, unfortunately. Number of cars getting a lot of damage. A few cars are now a lap down as they were in pit road, working on their car. So 15 cars left on the lead lap. Brandon Campbell is the first car under a lap down, and they'll be the lucky dog contender. Ooh, a little, the pace car maybe was pulling off there. They're trying to get that starting order all settled here. I'm sure Tim Terry's having a joy with all this after the big wreck. Brandon Campbell's able to pass around there. Number 99 on the screen, but number 18 on the car. I think Brandon's doing a little bit of racing coming up this year. I know he was telling me that he might be helping out a Pinty Series team potentially. You know, he's some buddies. You make some friends on the online racing world there.
Yeah, all it takes is a couple of friends to get your connections going and see where you end up for the summer. Right now, we're going to see how things shake out here. Green flag back in the air now. It's the 15 of Matt Barkhouse on the move, and as we talked about, Jason Ricker in car number 9, he is going to have something. Oh, the 83 of Chris Roma has come to a stop. I don't know, maybe he came out of the pits.
Yeah, he was coming out of the pits.
Yeah, just had to get on the binders there and let the field go by, but up front, Jason Ricker, he's going to have something to prove from the other night. Brett Suggs in this 33 car, he is making it work on the inside. Dustin Mumrick trying to get back to the lead under the other 16 car of Quentin Carpenter.
Yeah, and right side by side. Tim said there are 3 16 cars, and they're all right next to each other. Jesse, 1, 2, 3, 16, 16, 16. What? Paul, this is when you kick in.
What?
There you go. Thank you.
We have too much fun here.
Yeah, well, we got to here. It's a Thursday night. Springtime, snow's all melted here, at least in Nova Scotia for the most part. We could probably go racing, definitely on Saturday, Jesse. It's going to be 16 degrees and sunny, but again, got about a month out here for teams to work on their cars, but some good racing with NASCAR. I believe the Truck Series will be firing up in about an hour's time for Martinsville tomorrow. The return of Dale Jr., he's back in the Xfinity Series. NASCAR Blue Emu 400, you know that's going to be a wild race to the next-gen car, but we're settling things here with the TCM All-Star Showcase brought to you by Shady Brook Enterprises from South Boston. You know, I remember, Jesse, watching the Craftsman Truck Series races at South Boston in the early 2000s. I believe 2003 or 4 maybe the last time one of the Big 3 series was there, but still, they host weekly racing and some of that great Wheelin' Weekly Racing series.
Yeah, the TCM, or the Denny Hamlin Short Track Showdown was famously at South Boston for a long time. One of our own, Brad Eddy, got to run in that event, had a top 10 run a number of years ago against some of the biggest NASCAR stars. Had hoped we would see him out tonight, but doesn't look like it for the Nova Scotia driver. So a great field nonetheless, and drivers are really starting to make things work here. Caden Tufts, he left the door open. Brett Suggs knocked on it and says, "I am coming in."
First 50 in the books here, and, they could have maybe went a bit better. A little rough. A majority of the cars have a lot of damage. 21 cars remaining on track. Chris Roma is done for the night, they say, out on their virtual transponder. Tough break for the number 83 car. But it's still Matt Barkhouse leading Ricker, Langell, Tufts, and Suggs. But it's still a long trail around South Boston with a big line of cars all gunning for position. Really, Jesse, top 5 of the payout positions.
Absolutely. It's all about a little bit of money here tonight. These drivers don't get to race for a lot of money in the virtual world, so when something like this comes up, thanks to some sponsorship, thanks to some deals being made, it amps things up a little. It always makes things more exciting. Wow, right now we got some accordion effect going on there, going through the corner. Suggs had to back out of that battle he had with the 88 of Caden Tufts, and Tufts going to hold on to the spot. Josh Langell just ahead of him in car number 26, maybe an 18 car in our scoring system, but that is Josh Langell and the Bubba Pollard, number 26.
Josh is going to be doing some legend racing, I imagine. I'm sure we'll see him on the dirt at Valley Raceway coming up this year, which I'm sure there'll be a big announcement coming out soon of the schedule and what's going to be happening with that track. But right now he's going to fend off another young driver in Caden Tufts, and he is sandwiched between a couple of different drivers. It looked like there maybe that Ricker's a spotter from his display photo there, but all walks of life here racing with iRacing, and that's, again, I just got to say, one of the coolest things with this is that everyone kind of gets to play along and have some fun with the virtual racing. And from all parts of North America, we are spanning from the Carolinas to Maine to Ontario and all through Atlantic Canada. 61 in the books for the TCM All-Star Showcase, brought to you by Shady Brook Enterprises. And so far, things are going pretty good on this little stretch here.
Just looking at timing and scoring here, our fast car out on the racetrack, definitely Brett Suggs in the 33. Couple cars back, Noel Fougere in the 36. He's got a championship locked up here tonight. He ended up near the rear of the field very early on in this one. But he's running some quick times. He's inside the top 10 now and trying to claw his way back. A little driver's side damage there for the Chevy number 36. He's got Campbell Delaney all over the bumper.
Can't wait to see Noel at Riverside Speedway coming up this year. He's been the anthem singer for a number of years. And, the Canadian and American national anthems, they're not the easiest anthems or songs to sing in general, but he always does a great job, and can't wait to have him back at the racetrack. June 11th, our first race coming up with the East Coast International Pro Stock Tour, and you'll get to hear the chops of Mr. Fougere, and I'm sure maybe we'll get him to do a Bubbles impression. We got to get him to do a Bubbles impression on the microphone and the PA system at Riverside. We'll work on that later. He's trying to work his way through the field after being tangled up early on here, but as mentioned, he's essentially locked up the TCM iRacing Championship here with the number of events. He got off to a pretty good start, which pretty much cemented what he was going to be doing here for 2021, 2022. And what a winter it's been, with a few lockdowns here and there, at least here in the Maritimes. We were cooped up for a bit. We had some iRacing, we had some snowball fights, and it all comes to accumulation here tonight with the TCM All-Star Showcase. 68 in the book, still watching Noel Fougere, champion to be, battling his way through the field.
We will work our way back towards the front of the field. The 15 of Matt Barkhouse, the Xander Signs, Arnar Kinsman's number 15 rather. He's got a mirror full of Josh Langell in that 26 car. And Langell, the TM Ranch Ford, has worked his way up to second. Caden Tufts now. Looks like somebody might have dropped back. Jason Ricker there. Not sure what happened, but that 9 car maybe got moved out of the way. Maybe it was out of camera frame for us, but he has dropped back now to 7th and is really trying to work his way forward. 71 laps in this one.
Yeah, maybe I just wonder, Jesse, if he did get a little boot scoot in the tires or maybe a bit worn on that number 9 and just falling back a bit. He's not really getting right back on the high horse there to catch back up, but still in the top 10 here. Ricker in the 6th position at the moment. You can see our top 10 on the screen and scrolling through with timing and scoring, courtesy of Vidane TV. Big thanks again to Paul Showtime Strickland Jr., who's getting ready for a bunch of events coming up at Stafford Motor Speedway. Of course, the SRX Superstar Racing Experience. They're back there this year, right, Paul?
Yeah, they're back at Stafford Speedway, coming back July 2nd. Gonna be an absolute blast. It's a couple of weeks before the Dirt Duels at New Hampshire Loudon Motor Speedway, so you want to make a couple-week trip out of it, come on out. SRX Series is going to be at Stafford Speedway. 10,000 people jammed into that racetrack. I tell you, last year it felt like there was a cup race going on. The electricity in that I don't want to call it an arena, but in that arena was absolutely off the chains. Lots and lots of fun, and really looking forward to it this year. And the best part about the SRX Series race at Stafford this year, the night before, this guy right here, Showtime, Paul Strickland Jr., gonna be in the number 26 Renner Race Car Street Stock, sponsored by Verdane TV. How cool is that? How cool is that?
But how will you get your own replays, Paul? How are we going to do that?
Oh, we're gonna have to check it out on Flow Racing TV, I think.
Do you think Tony Stewart's going to throw you an offer if you win that race?
That'd be cool.
I'd push for it. Why not?
Yeah, that's one of the cool things, though. With the SRX, all the racetracks that they're going to, they've got the home track hero or the home track driver or whatever. Last year was Doug Kobe, came back, won the whole thing, 10,000 people chanting, Kobe, Kobe. Awesome, electrifying, fantastic, phenomenal. This year, you've got to win the 50th running of the Spring Sizzler at Stafford Motor Speedway to earn your shot in the SRX racing. That's adding a little bit of spice to the mix for those drivers.
So what are you waiting for? Are you going to enter?
I need a modified car. I'm going to have to talk to my buddy Gary. I know he's busy tonight. Alex's 16th birthday. His son of a race car driver. 3rd generation race car driver. Happy birthday, Alex. And I know he's hanging out with him. I might give him a shout. Maybe they'll build me a tour mod car. They can't be too expensive, right? I mean, we got lots of friends and sponsors here with TCM. We can hook something up, right?
Look, Bobby Labonte doesn't need to be in the field. I know he wants to be. He doesn't really need to be in the field, so I'm sure you could coerce him to let him drive your car.
I'll just walk up to him. B-O-B-B-Y. That spells Paul. That's my car. Get out of it.
I think we should get back to South Boston at some point. But we can keep this going if you want.
We're watching a great battle right now. We're watching a tremendous battle while we're talking about Paul robbing Bobby Labonte. We're watching Josh Langell try and rob the lead from Matt Barkhouse, and Matt's doing a pretty good job fending off the young driver. Lap 84 of the TCM All-Star Showcase, the 3rd annual. That 2618 car sticking their nose a little further and further as we wind down the laps here. We're on board now, the POV cam of Josh Langell. Brett Suggs, Caden Tufts, who's under that Brett Suggs Racing banner, and Dustin Mumbercat. That's your top 5. And the champion in waiting, Noel Fougere, right there in 6th position, working their way up. You knew that he'd be back eventually here.
Yeah, Fougere he continues to have a mirror full of the 9 car of Campbell Delaney. No decals on that car, but we know it's a 9 car in our hearts. See the other 9 car, Jason Ricker in behind. He's dropped back yet another position. Quentin Carpenter, Mike Alexander. Thought we might see him a little bit further up. He's back there in the 10th spot at the moment. A little bit of lap traffic just ahead of him. Tant Woolridge there. There's another guy who could end up at the front of this one if things fall the right way. And that's it. You need a little bit of luck, a little bit of wheelhouse or wheel skills, and this could fall any number of ways.
It's racing. Anything can happen, and it usually does. To quote the late, great Murray Walker, legendary announcer for Formula One, and things are pretty single file, kind of like a Formula One race, but we know that's going to certainly change here real soon. It's lap 90 at 250 of the TCM All-Star Showcase. Winding laps down here at Sobo, South Boston Speedway, 0.4 of a mile. Not much banking in the turns and not much more. Pardon me, meant to say not much on the straightaways in the backstretch. Not much in the turns. 12 in the turns, 10 on the straightaways here. And unlike some other tracks like in Oxford, you do have a little bit of a straightaway where you're not necessarily turning left the entire time. You do got to crank it to the right just a little bit to get back to the center. We can see Rational Richard Drake side by side now with Ashton Tucker in front of Mike Alexander. Expecting big things again from the number 2 of Ashton Tucker driving for Brad Siliker. Of course, one of the big wins he got last year was winning the Jim Hallahan 200 at Scotia Speed World. Young man for the Miramichi, Jesse, getting a big win up in the big city of Nova Scotia.
Absolutely, Ashton Tucker is not a driver to be messed with in car number 2. Drake sliding up the track a bit. These cars are one lap down, the 2 and the 141. So the 75, Mike Alexander, as we mentioned, he is on the lead lap, but right now he is just having a little bit of a tough time navigating this lap traffic. You guys are more the short track guys now. In the off season, I've started to dabble more and more in endurance racing and road racing, and you really learn patience in that discipline of racing. You really got to learn it here. The laps do click off quickly, but sometimes there is a time and a place to try and make a move, and sometimes you just got to get up on the wheel and do what you got to do.
When we get back to the real racing announcer booth, Jesse, I know I usually don't have a cat trying to bite my leg in my hands, but that's what's going on with me here. But these drivers almost like having a cat trying to bite them. They got their hands full, especially Richard Drake. You can see just on the outside, just after spinning the tires in that restart, they're just trying to make laps here. A little contact there with Brandon Campbell in the number 18 and Ryan Messer. Again, those cars are a few laps down. It's still the Matt Barkhouse show with Josh Langell in second, Brett Suggs in third, lap 99 at 250. And again, these drivers will have to go to the pits at least one more time. They do have the extra sets of tires, but we know some of these boys, they're able to stretch things pretty far, including the fuel. That's going to be something they're going to have to think about. Paul, with South Boston and these cars, what do you think this fuel mileage is going to be looking like?
It's tough to say, especially for somebody like me who doesn't really pay attention to the minor details. That's why I do production and not drive one of these things. But they're definitely going to have to come down pit road at least once. I think we're going to see a lot of pit stops here in the next 25 to 30 laps or so. It's going to put us right at the halfway marker here in the big 250 lapper. And that's one of the things, it's one of the simplest things in racing. If you can make it halfway, you can make it halfway. And as simple as that sounds, it's pretty profound if you think about it.
Yeah, I would imagine the fuel run in these cars is probably about 130, maybe 135 laps. If you could stretch it, you can manage the RPMs and keep from, bouncing it right off the rev limiter trying to catch somebody. If you could just stay in line and keep things nice and tidy, as these top four have done, you're going to have a good run. You're going to be able to pull away as they've done, and we will see what the strategy dictates for these drivers. And sometimes it can all go south in a hurry, but for these drivers, so far it has gone pretty well.
Yeah, some good battles all around the track here, but 105 in the book so far for the third annual TCM All-Star Showcase. Mike Alexander, just like a snake waiting in the grass, just waiting in the woodwork. I know he went down in the pits earlier to make a few adjustments, I'm sure to get some new tires there, but Mike is one of those guys, Jesse, who are really able to conserve their equipment. You can see it looks like, Barkhouse hasn't made a pit stop yet, so well done for them. Also looks like Carpenter is the only driver, and Ricker, a few of those drivers who have not made a pit stop yet. It makes sense a little bit for Ricker after they got knocked around a little bit and how they just weren't able to grip right back to the bottom. In fact, they're falling back even further. Now they're side by side with Mike Alexander and Tanton Woolridge. So that's some good strategy. A little different there. It's all a big different mix there, but the majority have already made one stop, as you saw on the screen there. And big thanks again to Paulie for bringing those up and bringing the information. Want to thank you again for tagging along here on TCM's Facebook or at Vidane TV's YouTube or Facebook page. It's a lot of fun doing this. These drivers are getting practice time behind the wheel. For myself and Jesse, we got to get some practice time behind the microphone before we do the real deal here coming up in a month. So it's practice for pretty much everyone.
So Matt Barkhouse, rather, continuing to lead in car number 15, 110 laps into this one is the TCM All-Star Showcase presented by Shady Brook Enterprises. About a car length difference between Barkhouse and Langell. Brett Suggs in behind. In a car number 33, Momberket just staying close in behind all of them. Not making too many moves here. Looks like the sun is starting to set. The nighttime's really starting to come to life. This track's going to change. These cars are going to change. Mm-hmm. These cars are going to get fired up in the last 135 laps or so of this one.
Yeah, nighttime racing, short track racing. It's going to put on some good racing coming up here. You can see Brett Suggs starting to somewhat look on the outside in the middle of the turns there, trying a different line to see if he can really get a good run on the bottom side there by Josh Langell, and Dustin Mumbercat right in tow. You know, right now the 33 car kind of looks like some of the Pinty's cars. You know, with the Cup racing scene this year, it's all about the numbers facing a bit closer to that front wheel. But in the Pinty series, as we can see, Josh is starting to flicker a little bit. That's not good. If they flicker a bit too much, that may knock him out of the track there completely. It's just cool to see the different number placement. Got to mention, too, Jesse, with incident points, 30 points will get you a warning black flag. 50 DQ points, you're done for the night.
Absolutely, and with these race cars and this racetrack, it is very easy to rack up a couple of incident points. You know, you stick the bumper in, you give somebody a little love tap to try and move them, that ticks the number forward. If you do that enough times over the course of 250 laps, you may not see all 250 laps. You might be, back on the trailer and headed to the canteen before you get to the end of this one.
Yeah, getting one of those virtual hot dogs. I hear they're pretty good.
Definitely, yeah. The track food here at the racetrack, virtually, I'm sure it's pretty good. This racing is really good. These guys have not let up on one another. It is absolutely incredible. Just, sometimes you get at a loss for words on what to say. These guys just are putting on a show here tonight as we close in on the halfway point.
And one thing, too, that's so impressive, and I know it's a bit easier when you're the leader, it's Matt Barkhouse not making that pit stop, still on those tires, 120 laps, almost half the race on those sets there. I'm sure the fuel, well, you could, throw as much as you want in there for weight. That's one thing, too, with these super late models is the weight in the back. You want to find that right ratio, and here comes Brett Suggs. Go time for the Carolina driver beneath the Nova Scotia driver. Can Suggs get the position? Langell slides up to the middle lane. Not exactly where you want to be if you want to be flying around South Boston Speedway. You can see Dustin Mumbercat in that catbird seat watching with glee as he can see the 33 and the 26 side by side. We'll see if the worn-out tires in the 26 will hold up. Doesn't look like it's going to be able to. Suggs is going to try and complete that pass. Not yet, but Langell slides at the track more. He'll probably get it now. New P2 and a new P3 for the 33 and the 16. Langell falls back to fourth.
Yeah, the best thing for Josh Langell to do right now is back out of it. Try to save whatever's left of those tires. Watching these guys all play follow the leader in behind, you almost got to wonder if the 15 is on bad tires now at this point, and there's just no room to get around them. It's not that they're even, it's that maybe Barkhouse is he's kind of on the razor's edge of traction. The car does look pretty good, but now we will see if Brett Suggs is able to close in just past the halfway point in the TCM All-Star Showcase presented by Shady Brook Enterprises.
And you saw there with the stats from the pit stops, Jesse, 33 less laps on the 33 machines tires there, and those 33 laps will make a world of difference as Brett is really starting to close in on the number 15, Matt Barkhouse. Over the halfway point here with the TCM Special Event, no gimmicks, just straight up racing, 250 laps straight on through. Some cash money for the winner, cash money for second, third, fourth, and fifth. And just a great way to wrap up the virtual racing season with TCM for the third year in a row. As mentioned on the top of the show, this got going, about this time, about 2 years ago, Jesse. It was about the first time I announced the race with Paul, Vidane TV, which, hey, got us through one part of the pandemic, got us through another, and getting us through the winter here months in the early part of the spring. And here comes the 33 within a car length and half a car length in the middle of the corners. 33 knocking on the back door of that 15 car. I don't know, Jesse, if that 15 can hang on to the lead for much longer.
Barkhouse is going to make the car wide. He's going to play defense and hope something falls his way. Otherwise, that car's not making it the last 119 laps of this one. Suggs is hooked up. I mean, it'll be a miracle if they can keep up this dogfight. Suggs trying to work the outside. Has to drop back into line, but he was really sniffing at that right rear fender. on the 15 car, continues to stick the nose there and has to back off middle of the corner, just can't get that outside drive.
And one thing, too, that he may be trying to do is just make Matt use up the tires and use up his equipment. I know racing on Wreckfest or NASCAR Heat, if I have someone in my rear mirror and I'm looking, I usually try and look straight forward, but if I know someone's there and that close, it does put a little pressure on you. And sometimes the spotters will be telling you, just keep looking forward. Crew chiefs will say, don't look in that mirror, just keep focusing on what's in front. But eventually those eyes trail to the mirror, and you're looking and wondering, okay, where is he going to be making this move? Is he going to try the outside? Is he going to try the inside? And you're going to have to race a little harder than you were earlier.
And as we mentioned, 135 laps into this one, maybe my numbers were a little off. Maybe it's more like 150, but I imagine these cars are getting light. They're going to start getting real slippy and slidey, as we saw with Josh Langell. He has dropped back, 0.8 of a second off of Dustin Mumbercat. So these top three have really made it the battle. The top two continue to race within 1.5, 2 tenths of one another. And Suggs is going to continue to put pressure on Barkhouse. He's going to let him know that he's there and just trying to dive it to that outside, and has to back off center of the corner. Barkhouse, to give him credit, he's getting the drive off the corner, and that's the way to do it.
And I just wonder if that's the strategy right now for Brett Suggs, to just put the pressure there on the number 15. I got to imagine if there's a caution coming out anytime soon, the 15 will take advantage of that. I can't see him stretching anything more than a green flag stretch here. And how long will this be, Paul? We're on a pretty long stretch here. We haven't had a caution in a while, being careful. What do you think is going to happen with this lead back?
It's really tough to say. We've got a lot of lap traffic coming up in front here. We're actually taking a look right now, a little picture-in-picture action right now of Brett Suggs' live Twitch stream. He's racing at home right now. You can see he's got those goggles on his face, man. He's racing the virtual reality. He's laughing, he's smiling, he's talking to his followers. He's having himself a night here with TCM, and getting into that lap traffic, man. That smile, it's still there, but he's kind of getting in that laser focus mode right now, and he is getting after it right now. Brett Suggs, definitely check him out on Twitch. Young racing talent, very, very multi-talented, very well-spoken. You talk to this guy, man, you swear you're talking to a 20, 30-year racing vet, but the kid's like in his early 20s.
I know.
Very, 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 very well respected racer, young racer. Looking forward to what the future holds for him, but just kind of neat. With these long green flag runs, we like to kind of tinker with things a little bit here in the production trailer, and it's kind of cool to take a peek at the virtual reality side of things that Brett Suggs Racing is running with.
It's such a cool setup, Jesse. I'm watching the TCM feed right now, and we're showing the Brett Suggs Racing and Marketing feed there, and he's got that virtual reality headset. You can see he's got the racing gloves on there. He's got a professional microphone, the VR headset. I feel like that would give me a headache, but I haven't had the pleasure of using one yet. But you can just see all the stats there, and just so cool that he's doing this for his followers. But right now, we are just seeing this battle from his perspective, his literal perspective of this battle between himself and Matt Barkhouse in lap 146.
Yeah, and to give you a little context, as somebody who does have one of those VR headsets to race with, the biggest thing, and I know Brett Suggs is facing this right now, is, well, I guess, for lack of a better term, he's facing it, is the heat. The heat off the headset, that thing will get hot on your face. The sweat will roll. It's going to, the last 102 laps of this one, it's going to start to mess with his focus a little bit. The longer you go at it, the more you start to kind of forget about what's around you, and you're focused on what's there, and you're making yourself work a little harder than you realize when you're racing in VR. But it's all about immersion for some of these guys, and it's really the only way some of them can be as successful as they have been, is to get that close to reality.
And that's a good point that I've never thought about, Jesse. The heat from those headsets, I've never thought, hey, you know what? That could be a factor. If you got a long stretch, you can't lift it up for a moment to take a breather, have a swig of a cold drink, So that's something you got to keep in mind there. By the way, 3 cars off the track there. We can see Gahan in the 116 is all done as we're scoring through, along with Danny Vitch and Chris Roma. Those 3 cars have wrapped it up here with 99 left to go in the 3rd annual TCM All-Star Showcase. We can see a number of cars on the lead lap, 13, with Ricker, the first car lap down. Got to imagine the 9 car went down to pit road. They were one of the cars that did not go down on lap 33. You can see, actually, no, he's just fallen back at just a number of positions, unfortunately. So, tires are just screaming on that number 9, I bet.
Yeah, sometimes you make the decision to stay out on old tires and hope it falls your way, and then at a certain point in the race, about this time, you realize, well, I've done this myself, and caution comes out. As I say that, we're going to see how this plays out now. This is definitely going to be the money pit stop, and it looks like Craig Kenny in car number 90 is contact with Dave Cassidy there. So we will check the replay. Paul Strickland Jr. at the controls. A little bit of contact and just came back around on him. So caution flag comes out, and it looks like he immediately put it to the pits. So we are going to have pit stops here. It's going to be everybody. This is the money stop. This is the one where it could make the difference. Who goes on 2 tires? Who goes on 4? They have got 12 tires to work with, including what they started this race with 156 laps ago. So we see Brett Suggs. He was up a little quicker than Dustin Mombercat. Matt Barkhouse there, the 15. Tant Woolridge, he's coming through. 56 car. He's out on track. That is going to be excellent track position. They're going to race hard coming out of the pit area. So we will see how this shakes out. But as we mentioned a little while ago, Tant Woolridge could be one of the ones at the end of this one. This could be exactly how it plays out for him.
And Campbell Delaney in the 9 car with the black car on screen, they stayed out, and Tanton Woolridge was the first car out of pit road. We can see from second onward, you'll see the results of the pit road battle with Woolridge. Suggs gets out in front of Barkhouse, Mumbercat, Fougere, Langell, Mike Alexander, Ryan Messer, Caden Tufts rounding out the top 10. But again, Delaney, who went to the pits way back in this race, is going to be taking a gamble, moving 17 positions. I'm going to hang on for a little bit here, Jesse, because we saw earlier with Rational Richard Drake staying out on some older tires.
That's what I was about to mention, yeah.
Yeah.
And if we can, I don't know if Paul's able to do this, if we can bring back that graphic up that we just had, did I see that the 15 is still on the same tires that he's been on?
That's crazy.
That is absolutely incredible. Just came down. Okay. Yeah, if he was still on 160 lap old tires, that would have been a bad call. But luckily, they got the fresh Goodyears or Hoosiers underneath them. And we are ready to send this off one more time. Dylan, take us through it.
And here we go. We'll see if the older tires on the 9 machine will be able to hold up as we'll go around. It looks like one more time here. We can see Campbell Delaney, Tanton Woolridge, the front row. Brett Suggs, Matt Barkhouse, the second row. Langell, Mumbercat, row 3. Fougere and Alexander, row 4. Big Orange, Ryan Messer, and Caden Tufts rounding out the top 10. And 11 cars are on the lead lap here for the final 80 laps. 90 laps, pardon me. Jumping ahead a little bit here. We're going to get there eventually. 160 in the books, green in the air, and immediately Campbell Delaney tried sliding in front of Tanton Woolridge. That's not going to work because Tanton's going to go on the bottom side, but Matt Barkhouse is going to try the outside, but he's blocked right now by the number 9. 3 wide coming out of the turn into the front stretch. Wow, they made it somehow.
That could have gone bad very quickly for a lot of these drivers. That 9 car is falling back. Josh Langell now, he has got the inside. Dustin Mumbercat, he's got him on the inside. They're racing side by side down into turn number 1. Langella going to try and come back down the track, put some pressure on the 16 car on the top 3. Starting to break away now with this one, a couple laps into this restart.
So how about that? Tanton Woolridge, the young buck from the island, grabbed the lead on the pit stop there. I'm wondering if they took a little less fuel. They did the 4 tires, but maybe some of these drivers waited a little extra to throw as much fuel as they could in. That 56 is in front of Matt Barkhouse and Brett Suggs. Barkhouse has led nearly every single lap this race, with Brett Suggs hot in his heels the entire time. Dustin Mumbercat's been the third man in that posse, just waiting in the woodwork. Langell in the top 5. Champion in waiting, Noel Fougere in 6th. Ryan Messer, Caden Tufts. Delaney has fallen all the way back to 9th, and they're falling even further like the stock market. And the 75 of Mike Alexander below the number 9 car. 167 for the 3rd annual TCM All-Star Showcase here at South Boston Speedway. Tanton Woolridge is your leader at the back end of this race.
Still quite a ways to go in this one, as you mentioned. Maybe a little bit of fuel strategy for car number 56. With only about 80 or 90 laps left to go, no reason to take a lot more than that. Maybe 100 laps worth of fuel just for a couple of cautions. If you can play it right, you can work your way just to the end of this one. And that managed to get him some track position. He's going to be just a tick lighter with fuel load than the rest of the cars. So that'll give him a little extra speed. It's all about managing the car, though. It's all about managing the mirrors and managing yourself, really, because you look back for someone like Barkhouse there, he just lost the position there to Brett Suggs in behind there, side by side, and those two are going to fight like bees in a hornet's nest.
Oh, this is the battle on track. They're side by side. Brett Suggs on the bottom side of Matt Barkhouse. Want to focus on that battle there. You can see them charging down the front stretch. And also the number 16 of Mumbercat trying to weasel their way in. What a battle we have here. Matt Barkhouse on the outside, not where you want to be. Brett Suggs makes the pass and moves up to P2. And Mumbercat looking to get to P3. The number 15 is just trying everything. Little slam jamma right there between the 16 and the 15 on board with Josh Langell. They're just rubbing fenders coming into the turns there. Not where you want to be if you are the 15 car. The outside preferably doesn't work, although I'll tell you what though, Jesse, he is holding his own right now with the number 16, but that's just helping the 33 drive away. Brett Suggs is now trying to get up to the 56 bumper.
The big thing I noticed with Matt Barkhouse in all of these races, there's never a mark on the race car. There is rarely ever a fender out of place. There's going to be a couple little love taps on the side of that car. 16 going to maybe hip check him up out of the way. Josh Langell to the inside one more time with front end damage on that race car. But that 26 is a rocket ship here tonight.
Yeah, doing good even with the front end looking pretty busted up. He'll pass the number 15, Barkhouse, just falling like a ton of bricks. Considering they were on old, worn-out tires, they were driving perfect before that caution came out. But they're falling behind here. Lap 178 of the TCM All-Star Showcase, again, brought to you by Shady Brook Enterprises. It's Tanton Woolridge in front, watching a good battle, good tussle between two younger drivers. Now back watching the 56, but you can see coming in the shot, coming in the frame is the 33 of Brett Suggs and Dustin Mumbercat. Prince Edward Island versus North Carolina potentially here to end the All-Star race.
Langell able to get by the 15 of Barkhouse now. Noel Fougere, your champion for this season. He's got that thing wrapped up, and he wants to have a good run to end off his season. Look a couple of cars back. I suppose he's still off the pace, but Ashton Tucker starting to mix things up. He is a lap down. Ryan Messer in behind. Messer currently scored 7th on the racetrack in car number 1.
Yeah, a tough go for the number 1 car. Just got tangled up a little earlier on there in this race. 19 cars left on track and only 11 on the lead lap with Campbell, Delaney at the back end of the lead lap cars. And remember, they took the gamble. They rolled the dice. of not going down pit road. Pardon me, I need to pit stop for my voice there with some water. But we'll see. You never know. If there's a late race caution, Campbell would hypothetically have another set of tires kicking. And with only 11 cars on the lead lap, that could play in his favor. But a number of these drivers would also have the extra set kicking around, I would imagine, too. So it may not play out in his favor. Still, though, 184 in the book so far. Tell you what, Dustin Mumbercat starting to put some pressure now on the number 33.
Yeah, at a place like South Boston, I would rather have track position than to try and gamble with tires and try and work your way through traffic, because there's just, we talked about the other night, there's just not a lot of room here. It's wide enough for a couple of cars, but no more than that. And wow, Suggs really closing in now with the Jones 33. He is closed up to about 2.5 tenths on the 56 car, but he knows not to push it. He knows there's still about 65 laps or so left to go in this one.
Just need to be patient. Oh wait, patience doesn't exist with drivers, right?
It's easy when you don't have to pay for the virtual race car.
The P word doesn't exist.
No. All they see is what's ahead of them and what's in the mirror. They kind of think about that, but, not too big on their minds.
I know Stacy Clements is watching. They're cheering on Caden Tufts. I'm sure Stacy knows about the word patience, and I'm sure Caden also knows too, right? Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. It's lap 189 of the TCM All-Star Showcase. 61 left to go. Slow car in front of Tanton Woolridge. That actually is Campbell Delaney, who will be going a lap down here. We'll see if the two young drivers will work together. Tanton has no problem traversing around the number 9 car. And that will somewhat help Brett Suggs. Brett closes in a little bit there. He'll clear the number 9 car, and Dustin Mumbercat looking to do the same thing. Some respectable driving between the lap car now of the number 9, Campbell Delaney. He'll fall in line behind the top 3. He'll go a lap down, so now only 10 cars on the lead lap. Ricker, the last car on the tail end of the lead lap.
Ricker was looking for some big things here tonight, especially from a couple of nights ago. He felt like being on the podium kind of slipped away from him there at the end of that one. I'm sure he was trying to look for something just a little bit more here tonight, but, unless something crazy happens, it might just be a top 10 run for car number 9, which is not bad considering we had 22 start this race.
Yeah, nothing to sneeze about for sure. But I bet you this big battle for first with these 3 cars of Woolridge, Suggs, and Mumbercat, going to be a good one. Going to be a fantastic ending coming up. I can feel it. With 56 coming up to 55 left to go. The big question mark, of course, always with any big race, Jesse, cautions. Will we see this go green the rest of the way? Will we see drivers get maybe a little too aggressive at the end and cause a few cautions, which could breed cautions? It's always got to be in the back of the mind for these drivers, especially someone like Mumbercat, maybe someone like Josh Langell, who's hoping, okay, I'm not really close to them. Can someone in the back please spin out so I can get closer to him on a restart?
Yeah, looking at Josh Langell there, he is, they haven't got too far out ahead of him in car number 26/18. And you can see him wheeling the race car. The purple gloves they got to work out here tonight. Just ahead of him, though, wow, look at that. Brett Suggs left the door open. Dustin Mumbercat in the 16 thought about going to the inside. Suggs slams the door on him one more time, and down the backstretch, they continue on single file.
Yeah, thought about it for half a second, but they're throwing a lot of pressure. That's Ontario versus North Carolina. With about 50 laps to go in the TCM All-Star Showcase, Suggs is starting to slide up a little bit. That's exactly what Tanton Woolridge wants to see in their mirror. He wants to see the 33 and the 16 battle. It will make it an easy drive for him to the checkered flag. 50 left to go in the showcase.
So now you start thinking as we get towards the end of this one, is anybody going to use the bumper? Is anybody going to lay a fender, lay a wheel to the door? We saw it a couple of nights ago, couple love taps there at the very end, kind of shook things up. Ashton Tucker was able to run away with that one, 99 of about 102 or 3 laps completed in that one. But this is the 250. This is the big night, the All-Star Showcase. Wow, 16 car moving up the racetrack now, trying to run the center line, diamond the corner, and just trying to make it work. Can't seem to do it. Still about 2.5 tenths back of the 33 car.
Yeah, I'm going to imagine, Jesse, we're probably going to see that happen. It's been happening a lot in the Cup and Xfinity series. We saw the teammate kind of bump and run between John Hunter Nemechek and Gibbs there last Saturday, where Gibbs just kind of drove in the side there of his teammate to get the win. We saw Ross Chastain get their first win, giving the receipt back to AJ Allmendinger, kind of driving through him in the corner. I wouldn't throw it past many of these drivers, although I tell you what, Brett Suggs is a pretty clean driver, so maybe we won't see it from him, but you never know. You want to get that big last iRacing win with TCM here in the 2021-2022 season. Anything can happen. There's Richard Drake. There's a guy who I thought would have been battling up front here the entire time. Rough go after spinning the tires on a restart earlier, causing one of the biggest pileups I've seen on iRacing in a while.
Yeah, one of the big things for these drivers to consider, the drivers running up front, the top 3, top 4, you're running 250 laps, you're running up front. Are you really content to finish second in this one? Are you really content to sit back in third when you know you've got a chance to make something happen?
It's so hard because we're announcers, Jesse, but we like playing different games, and I'm sure you've been in second or third, and there's maybe a window of, well, maybe if I give a little tap to second or third, or give a little tap to first there, maybe that'll be my way of winning. And sometimes you think about it and you don't actually get there. You try and lean in a bit and you miss, or maybe you go a little too hard, you take yourself and the leader out. A lot of questions, and you don't want to get taken out if there's a restart coming up if it doesn't completely work in your favor.
Absolutely, I've done that before. You get in there and you go, okay, last lap, last quarter of a lap, we're going to make something happen. And something happens and it's you, and you end up 25th. So, sometimes it is better to hold on to what you've got than to spin it off into the wall and not have anything to show for it.
I know I've had many of those where it's like, I should have gave him a little bump, but I didn't. But that's the thing with racing. You coulda, woulda, shoulda, but you didn't. We'll see what happens here at the back end of the All-Star Showcase with Tanton Woolridge dominating the back end here, or early on here. It was the Matt Barkhouse show. They've dropped back to 5th. I don't know, just didn't go their way after that pit stop. I can't imagine the fresh tires messed the car up, but you got to put 2 and 2 together.
Yeah, continuing that battle for second, Brett Suggs, as we mentioned, racing in VR tonight, trying to keep himself as immersed as possible, but 200 laps with a VR headset on, that's a mini computer on your face. That's going to generate some heat. That focus, I imagine, is starting to go a little bit. I know Suggs is a terrific racer. He has done some incredible things behind the wheel of the race car, but when your focus is going, it's hard to get it back, and you just got to hold on.
Yeah, I got to imagine the sweat, the heat's just building up. But, he may be used to it. Some drivers get accustomed to the heat in the race car to a point. Of course, when it's a scorching hot July afternoon or August, that's a little different. He might be a bit used to it, though. Tell you what, though, Josh Langell is making that a triple threat for second, while Tanton Woolridge starts to pull away from the boys.
Dustin Mumbercat now going to drive the car hard to the inside, slide a little bit up the racetrack. Josh Langell thinking about the outside, thinking about the inside. Mumbercat really having to saw the wheel there. And he will clear this time. The Ontario driver going to end up in position number 2 at the moment. Suggs with a mirror full and a driver's door full of the 26 car. That 26 is looking worse for wear, as we've mentioned, but he is turning it up here tonight.
Doesn't have to be pretty to be fast, and that 26 is looking bowling shoe ugly at the moment, but still pretty fast, beat up nose and all, side by side with Brett Suggs, one of the best iRacers with TCM. Usually when he's here, you know he's going to be a threat up front. We have the laps clicking off here on the board. There are just shy of 28 laps to go in the TCM All-Star Showcase. It's winding down here real fast, Jesse Thompson.
And Matt Barkhouse there in behind in car number 15. Suggs, I know I know how you get late in this race. You're going to fight for every inch of real estate you can get. I think it might be better for Brett Suggs right now to drop in behind, see if he can make something happen. We haven't seen that 33 run the outside too much, so I don't imagine he knows quite what the car is going to do. He'll drop in behind now on Josh Langell, the 15 of Matt Barkhouse, as we mentioned. Noel Fougere in behind, and how about Brandon Campbell in behind him? Campbell is a lap down, but just outside the top 10, but keeping pace here and keeping his nose clean.
I don't know how he's doing it, but he's doing it.
That's the big mystery with these race car drivers. How do they do it? Is it easy? Are they struggling with the race car? You really don't know. And with these top three, I'm sure we will find out after the race. We just got to determine who that top three is going to be.
25 left to go for Tanton Woolridge, Dustin Mumbercat, and Josh Langell. Could be a little mix-up there with the podium, but there's still a whole lot of racing. Even on the last lap, there's still a lot of racing left to go. To quote Darrell Waltrip, when they're coming out of turn 3, the race is just beginning, basically.
So Tanton Woolridge is out front, 1.4 seconds now on Mumbercat in the 16 car. Mumbercat has really kept his nose clean. Maybe a couple of scrapes there, a little bit of front end damage there. That may be causing the race car to push a little bit, maybe overheat a little. So luckily he's up in the top 3, but these guys are going to put on a whale of a show right down to the cool down lap.
Back of the mind question, like I was mentioning earlier, will we see a car maybe get a little squirrely and spin out with a number of laps left to go? Hard to say. It's racing. We've seen many races go pretty much caution-free. This has had about 5 so far. A lot of the drivers took advantage at the last pit stop to throw some fresh tires on, fuel up their cars, make any repairs they possibly could. There is the champion in waiting. 20 laps to go in Noel Fougere's race. Oh, we can see Craig Kenny was riding the wall there a little bit. They're still driving straight, though. The 36, what an impressive run they've had this entire iRacing season. They'll be claiming that championship. A couple extra bucks going to be going to Mr. Fougere for all his efforts behind the wheel. I know Noel eventually wants to get behind the wheel, but sometimes you do the iRacing in the off season and then you have another job at the racetrack. His is singing at the racetrack, and maybe we'll get him out to a couple of the racetracks to belt out an anthem or two. But he's grew up in the Antigonish area, so he'll be living there. And hey, how about this? Josh Langell has moved up to second. Just notice on the scoreboard there. Whoa! Dustin Mumbercat cleans out the 26.
Okay, that's going to be some bent fenders and some hot tempers now. You look at that and that's not going to go over well late in the game on this one.
That seems like a receipt. And just tuning it up here, this may be a thing that started a few laps ago. We were focusing back. We're winding it all the way back here. So let's tune in and get the whole story. So that's the battle for second again. You can see Dustin Mumbercat and Josh Langell, who I believe are buddies. Believe they're good friends on this. Maybe not so much now. But we can see Josh gets pretty close.
Tap.
Yeah.
A little love tap there. Nothing wrong with that.
Then tap.
Okay. We're starting to get there now. Yeah.
Oh, boy. Yeah.
And 16 just absolutely 10-pin rolling a strike. Just rolls it in there.
Let's just call it what it is. He Will Smith them.
Yeah, we're gonna call that one as we see it, and it's not gonna go over well with these two drivers. I can very much imagine.
Wait,
we got the boss man here.
The commissioner's in.
Hi, the 16X has been DQ'd for what just happened on the racetrack.
Simple as that. So, and back to race control. So, look at that. Now we are going to. Wow, is that Ryan Messer up into the top 3 now because of the way things have fallen?
Well, a lot of drivers that went down to the pit road just to throw on those extra tires. Surprised Brett Suggs didn't go down pit road there, but how about that? We have Big Orange in the podium position potentially. Top 3 stayed out.
And we know these drivers are good, and some of them probably thought their night was over. But Ryan Messer surely thought, this is a 7th place car now. This is just the way this night is going. Mike Alexander in behind. Caden Tufts has stayed very quiet. He is inside the top 5 now. 13 to go. These laps are clicking off under caution, so it's going to be a shootout. The big question is, that 56 car has probably been hard on his tires. No, the 33 has definitely been hard on his tires. Watch for these two, maybe to play a little door tag.
We're going to restart here on the perspective of the cockpit of Brett Suggs with 12 laps to go, and Tanton Woolridge will slide in front of the 33 car with the Hornet's Nest right behind them. Mikey Alexander, we're 3 wide coming out of turn 4.
Messer trying to hold on, a little bit of pinball. 75 car, wow, Mike Alexander pushing that car to the outside. The 75, the Cole Harbor driver, all the way to the outside. Contact. Suggs going to take the lead. Barkhouse now in the 15. Here comes Caden Tufts.
We're not done yet. Here comes Tanton Woolridge, and here comes Barkhouse. Wow, this is an ending of the showcase. 3 wide in turn 4, and Matt Barkhouse grabs the lead again. Caden Tufts slides in the podium. Wow, it's like a restrictor plate race here at South Boston. They're piling in like a restrictor plate race. Big crash.
That may have been retaliation. I don't know about that one, but that seemed like somebody might have turned in on somebody.
Gotta wind that back. This was a wild part of the race.
Great racing here with less than 10 laps to go. U-House Racing Design instant replay from the blimp. Take a peek at this 4-way brawl. Little bit of a tap into the wall there. Brett Suggs takes the lead. There's a tap from the 15 to the 56. Caden Tufts comes in the 88 car, trying to make this thing 3 wide. Didn't quite work. He tucked back in. How about 3 wide for the lead? Boom, there you go. Barkhouse to the point. How about that? Then they keep racing. They keep banging. They keep slamming doors. 75 up into the 33, and there you see it blocking the track. Ricker, Messer, Mike Reiner does a great job getting on through that. Richard Drake comes to a stop. There's a 13 car. He gets through as well. So a little bit of bent up fenders here with less than 10 laps to go in the final race of the season.
And I can imagine for a guy like Mike Alexander, he was back in the 7th, 8th spot most of this race, and to have the chance to run up front, sometimes you just make a move that you maybe shouldn't make, and it's definitely going to cost him. So we've got Tim Terry back here in our announcer's booth. Just dropping back into the race control room there. 6 laps to go in this one. Dylan, I don't know anymore how this is going to shake out. I just don't know.
I had to go back and watch the Verdane TV feed there. Who the heck do you pick at this point?
You know what? I'm going to go with the 88 of Caden Tufts. I think Tufts has been absolutely strong here tonight. He's been smart with that race car. He very closely nearly ended his own race, but that car, I think, is going to be a rocket ship.
Tim Terry.
Try this again. The 33 has now been disqualified due to conduct on the racetrack. 33 was sent to the back of the field with the 75 due to that caution. Said a couple of things across the voice chat that weren't really kosher, and then decided to haul off and hit the 75 under yellow. 33 is done.
We can tell that things are nice and calm here with the TCM All-Star Showcase. We will finish this up here.
Remember when we thought things were pretty much set in stone?
Yeah.
We're going to find out here in just a few moments.
Yeah, we may finding out right away here, Jesse, because just to stomp on your voice there for a moment, we just saw Caden Tufts all over the back, and here comes Caden Tufts. 3 laps to go, coming up to 2. Jesse Thompson, we've got a race between 2 young guns.
popsicle sticks in the air now. 2 to go. Caden Tufts to the inside. Caution back out on the racetrack.
Cautions breed those cautions, don't they? Just like kittens that are not neutered.
I'm not even going to ask.
Bob Barker always said spay him, but it looks like we have David Cassidy bringing out that caution. May have been tangled up, and it may have started actually with another Rolling McDonald tribute. It was a little stacked up before, right before.
I think maybe, Dylan Black just ahead of him going sideways. Everybody trying to scramble off the front bumper of Campbell Delaney. Quentin Carpenter gets out of the way, and I think the spotter maybe just didn't quite call him clear, and Dave Cassidy, late race caution in this one. It's going to set up a green-white checker.
I tell you what, Jesse, I don't think you're too far off from your pick there of Caden Tufts. I think if we would have kept going on that inside lane, the unfortunate thing is he's going to be on the outside for this restart. He was going to put up a good fight between himself and Matt Barkhouse. And how about Noel Fougere, champion in waiting, sitting in third? And Brandon Campbell's up to fifth. How the heck has that happened?
Campbell, Messer, Ricker, Alexander, Josh Langell back there. Ashton Tucker, I believe, is on the lead lap once again. The 2-car would love to finish off this race with a good finish. As we've seen, anything can happen. So we're going to find out here in just a few moments. Pace car is off. Barkhouse Tufts on the front row. Green flag back in the air.
Hang on to something tight, folks. This is going to be a wild ending to the TCM All-Star Showcase. And immediately, Caden Tufts kind of washed up the track with the champion in waiting. Below him, here we come, 1 to go. And the trials and tribulations continue for a few drivers as one spanks the wall. There's the champion in waiting. We see a big pile up further on back, but the white's already been flown. We are still green flag racing. This guy had an up and down race, but it finishes on an up note. Matt Barkhouse wins the 3rd annual TCM All-Star Showcase, and your TCM iRacing champion for this season, Noel Fougere, finishes 2nd. Caden Tufts' podium will finish 3rd.
And how about Tanton Woolridge? Had this race pretty much on lock. He will come home 4th. Josh Langell going to recover for a top 5. Ashton Tucker, barely saw him all race long, up into 6th. Matt Barkhouse going to celebrate on the front stretch here at South Boston. Ladies and gentlemen, let's hear for the 15 car of Matt Barkhouse.
Fantastic. That was a pretty wild ending. And usually with the iRaces, they do get pretty wild there. There's our top finishers. We see Noel Fougere finishing 2nd. Caden Tufts, Tanton Woolridge hangs on for 4th. Josh Langell, top 5. Ashton Tucker, Jason Ricker, Mike Alexander, Ryan Messer, Dylan Black will finish out the top 10. And Brandon Campbell was hanging around the top 5 there for a little bit, but they'll finish 11th. And you can see the top 18 finishers here with the All-Star Showcase. But what a big win there for Matt Barkhouse. And we'll be chatting with him here in just a moment. But man, just up and down for many, many drivers. But on top is the number 15. We've said that once or twice or 5,000 times, it seems like, with these iRaces, Jesse.
Yeah, and we got our 3rd place finisher here. He's climbed out of the race car. Our 3rd place finisher, Caden Tufts, here tonight. Caden, what a run there at the end. You kind of came out of nowhere there at the end of it to really put on a show and make this thing wild. And, I think it just came down to everybody being on equal tires there at the end and getting a little rough.
It was definitely a up and down race for us. Ended up starting 7th around there. We ended up using our stuff up too much on the first run there. Took tires, had no speed. Then with around 20 to go, I thought it was the right move to go down pit road again since we had 2 sets. Only ended up taking the right sides. Managed it working us there. Started 3rd. Had a chance at the lead there. Ended up missing that up. Getting into Matthew a little. Then that last restart, I was driving over my head. Ended up chopping Noel off and ruining both of our chances for the win. But other than that, it was a pretty good race.
And who gets the thanks here tonight on the 88 car? I'm sure you got a lot of support. Even with this virtual racing, you got a lot of support to get you here and get you set up for this 250-lap main event.
Yeah, I'd first off like to thank my dad. He bought me the sim, got me all into this. 10, he helped me out a plenty ton. He had a great finish tonight. Campbell, he helped me out a lot. Aiden helped me out a lot. Brad helped me out a lot. Everyone over at BSRM helped me out a lot. Airod HVAC, LBT Pallets, Brad One Mortgages, Guysborough Transfer, Timberley Beverage Room, JDM Broadcasting, and you guys for putting this on. Other than that, I don't know what else to say.
We'll let you celebrate this podium finish here tonight. Caden Tuff's coming home third in the TCM All-Star Showcase. Dylan, I believe you have got our winner here tonight.
Yeah, he jumped out of his virtual car. He's dancing on the virtual car, I'm sure. Matt Barkhouse, the winner of the third annual TCM All-Star Showcase. Matt, do we have you, my friend?
Yeah, I'm here.
Dude, what a race. A little up and down for you. You led the first half. You go down pit road. Tanton comes out in front. You'll fall back a bit, but at the end, you get that checkered flag first. Congrats on winning this race, and how was the All-Star Showcase tonight?
Yeah, I really wasn't that confident going into tonight, just not racing a whole lot, right, and didn't practice a whole bunch, but managed to get out front and hold off the guys for a bit, and just after I took that set of tires, I don't know if I burnt them off too quick, just letting Brett get under me there. He was good at picking the lane that way and getting the drive under, just wasn't paying attention at one time, but it all worked out in the end.
Yeah, take us back with the end there where we saw the one caution when one driver takes another out, and then we have a little bit of pile up there, and then that calamity corner was 3 wide, and you made it a 3 wide situation going down in the bottom. How'd you figure that was going to work? And it did for you. It got you back up in front.
Yeah, no, it honestly, just all season long, you guys been watching, it's like I had a target on my back. I don't think I ever got past the lead once without getting wrecked or taken out. I just kind of had enough of it tonight and put 3 wide like other guys were on the bottom as well. And it's a great way to finish off the season and beat the guys that are constantly running you over in the bumper, wrecking you, on the second last lap or something like that.
Well, it's got to feel good to get that big win. Matt, we were talking about you've been off the real racetrack for a couple of years. Are we going to see you back at Scotia Speed World? Is that Sportsman finally getting worked on?
Yeah, for sure. Honestly, with COVID there and the whole lockdowns, being off work and stuff, I wasn't going to spend a bunch of money putting a car together. So the first car I bought, I ended up buying a second one that was closer and sold the first one, and now we're just getting it ready to go. Hopefully, we'll make the first or second one, but we'll be there at some point this summer. Just making sure we get enough money together to put the car together, because they're not cheap anymore to build. They're quite pricey.
How does it feel to get back on the track after a few years off? I'm sure the butterflies are going to be kind of building up when you're getting that car ready, right?
For sure. Sure, honestly, I've just been focusing more on the racecraft here on iRacing. That's kind of how I got started, and it worked out okay in the Neon, where I was able to run with the guys there, just focusing more on running door to door and seeing where the fenders are, so when I get out into the big stuff, it's not going to cost me a fortune to keep running it.
Well, man, I can't wait to see you at Scotia this summer. You don't do it alone. You've got the family behind you. Who helped you out? Who did what? Who helped you? Yeah,
so big thanks to my family, the Alexanders, Scott, Mike, and Karina, all of them there, their extended family. R&R Kinsmans for helping get the car together, Auto Value, just a whole list of people are going to help me get there this year, and I can't wait. Hopefully we'll put on just as good of a show as we do on these races for everyone and the fans once we hit the track when me and Mike run together.
Well, you got a little extra money for the real car here from Shady Brook Enterprises tonight, so congratulations, Mr. Barkhouse. We'll see you at the real racetrack real soon.
Thanks, guys.
No problem. Matt Barkhouse, the champion tonight for the third annual TCM All-Star Showcase. And speaking of champions, here comes the champion strolling through, getting ready to sing "O Canada" at Riverside this summer. Noel Fougere, TCM iRacing champion for the 2021-2022 season, and also finishing second tonight. Noel, do you have a copy?
I do, Dylan.
You got to be feeling pretty good, my friend. You pretty much locked things up a couple nights ago. It was kind of a Sunday drive for you here on a Thursday, but still, you finished second tonight. How was this All-Star Showcase for you?
Well, it was a race, that's for sure. If you had told me, on lap 1 that I was going to manage to rally back and finish second, I would have told you were crazy, but I guess that's just the nature of the beast. This track it's so narrow and it's so small that, having 30 cars on a tiny track like this or 22 cars, I guess, always spells for a little bit of trouble. So that was kind of my mindset coming in. I knew I had the championship locked up. So I like you said, just kind of out for a Sunday stroll. Going to try and keep out as much carnage as I can. And well, you see how that went. I ended up getting into the back of Brett, going into 3 on the very first lap of the race. So I'm glad I didn't take him out. It kind of accordion back, and I ended up getting spun, and a couple other cars ended up getting collected. So that's very unfortunate that happened. But to be honest with you, I thought I was done. The car was very tight the whole race afterwards. It really had no turn at all. But I just, kept with it and kept making repairs and kept chugging away, and then managed to strategy worked out really well in my favor at the end there. Me and Matt sort of snuck onto pit road on that last or second to last caution, and took 4 tires the last set, and set us up for, to get where we did. Matt won and I got second, so big congrats to Matt. Good to see him back in victory lane. I know after what happened at Bristol earlier in the year, I'm sure he's happy to park that 15 in victory lane. But yeah, overall, I'm very happy with tonight. TCM Special Events season champions got a good ring to it, so that's definitely awesome. But yeah,
it's got to feel good too. I haven't been shy of saying of what you do at Riverside, and you do very well singing the anthems. You don't race every weekend in the summer. You just do the virtual racing, and you're the champion. You beat real racers. You beat some of the best doing iRacing. How does it feel to be the champion for an inaugural champion for TCM iRacing?
I mean, you can't even describe it. I mean, someone like me, this is essentially the end of my season and the start of everybody else's. Everyone's going back to the real racetrack, and the sun's out and the weather's getting nice and cars are getting finished. Final touches, wax and polish on the old late models, so they'll be coming out soon. So, just to cap this off with a championship, it just means so much. To race with, the people we've raced with, and, like you said, Dylan, some of the best, and the people that I've met over the last 2 years of doing this, friendships that I've made, with countless people, involved in this series, and, people that hopefully one day I'll meet at a real racetrack and maybe have the pleasure of competing on some real asphalt. But, this is just such a special opportunity, for guys like me to come out here and run wheel to wheel with people who are fortunate enough to drive in real life. It just means the world, and we'll go out to Riverside in the summer, and we'll take in some short track racing, and you never know, maybe the pieces will fall into place, and I'll find myself on a racetrack sooner rather than later.
Ooh, you never know. And yeah, we got 4 big events coming up. We're going to see June 11th at the first East Coast International Pro Stock Tour race. I know you got a whole bunch of fans watching, the family and everything. Who do you want to give a salute to, and who maybe helped you out get this big win here in the big championship?
Oh, well, first and foremost, I always got to say thanks to my grandparents. They watch pretty much every race, if not every single race that I do. They stay up a lot of late nights, and I'm sure some of the ways these races finish, I get their heart rate up a little bit and get them stressed out. But I'm happy I could bring home a podium for them and a championship, and overall in the end for them. Got to say thanks to all the other competitors in this series. People that I've raced close with every single race we've been in here. Mike Alexander, Matt Barkhouse, Tanton, Caden, everybody else. It's such a great group of guys. There's not a lot of Canadians on this service, so to bring even a lot of East Coasters together and run every week with them like I do, it's awesome that I always got something to look forward to every week to run with this group. And like I said again, some of the friendships that I've made. I mean, between I've spent a lot of time chasing down the Rev guys this season. I've spent a lot of time chasing the BSRM guys down this season. Tan especially. I mean, he drove the wheels off his car all season, and I'm super proud of him for taking P2. And I mean, that guy is one of the nicest guys probably in this league, and I'm sure he's going to do great things in the Legend car this year. So And Caden's out there on the real racetrack, and everybody's getting back out there. So I'm excited for everybody to have a good 2022 season. We'll hopefully be back to as normal as we can be on the racetrack. Things should go as smooth and as scheduled, and have big crowds at these short track races. So it's setting up to be an exciting year. And of course, all the guys at Verdane, Paul, Mike, everybody that puts these broadcasts together. It's so special for me to come on here and say hi and say thanks after getting a race like this. And Dylan, you for broadcasting and calling one of my wins and some of my podiums. It's special to see you here. And last but not least, Tim Terry. He has spent so much time this winter setting up these races and putting them together. And we get a little rambunctious out on the racetrack every once in a while, and he's got to be he's on the receiving end a lot of the time. So so special. Like I said, it's without him, I wouldn't have the opportunity to come out and run with these guys like I do. So I know I'm rambling here, but that's it. I just thank you to everybody. This has just been such a special and cool experience for me. So just thank you to everybody.
Save your voice. You got an anthem to sing in June.
Yeah, I got to start warming up already. Weather's getting nice.
Good stuff. Noel, congratulations. Noel Fougere is the champion. We got to start we can't because of Facebook licenses, but we would be cranking "We Are the Champions" by Queen. Tim, what a fantastic ending with a great champion and Matt Barkhouse winning the All-Star Showcase.
Yeah, it's good to see Matt come back and have a good run, and congratulations to Tanton Woolridge as well. Tanton led a ton of laps here, and if it wasn't for those couple of late cautions, he probably would be in victory lane with a couple of others breathing down his neck. Messy little finish. I think Noel had mentioned about some people getting rambunctious at the end, but we're going to take one final review, but I think everything else is fine with the way it ended. Congratulations to Matt on the win. Congratulations to Noel on the championship. The stat line is going to go down as 16 races, 6 wins, 13 top 5s, and 16 top 10 finishes on the championship line. So that's pretty good. And hats off to Tanton Woolridge. I think if he would have had a little bit of a better start to the year, he would have been a little bit closer to Noel for that championship. But congratulations. Great show. These drivers put on a great show all season long. Some of them stepped on our nerves, but you'll have that in racing. 160 something drivers, 160 different talents, and all kinds of different personalities that have come through our gates. And I think there's 21 or 22 that have run at least half of these races to vie for a championship. We saw a lot of guys on Tuesday that were good enough to not make the show. That just missed it. Guys like Dave Horton, and I know Danny got the fan vote, and some of those guys, Tony Wright, John Byron, that ran that race and didn't get in. So congratulations, first of all, to all the drivers. If it wasn't for the drivers, we wouldn't be here. Thank you to Danny Vetch. Danny is a great guy. We saluted him on the radio in race after his incident early in the show. Craig Tully, Dylan Black, Shady Brook Enterprises, all the sponsors that helped out throughout the year. Paul at Verdane TV. If it wasn't for Paul, we wouldn't be here. Mike is currently on George Street right now, where he was about 15 laps into this race. He's on business, but we want to thank Mike James, of course, Dylan Langell, Jesse Thompson, Ashton Reiki. Jeff Brown was on his show. Paul can probably correct me if I missed somebody, but I know there was a couple that floated in and out throughout the season. Thank you to everybody who helped out on this end. Ryan Salvatore and Paige Drake for helping us with race control tonight for 200 and something 20 laps was really, really good. We ran 115 laps caution free in the middle of that show. So hats off to all those drivers for doing that, and the fans that watch these and go back and take a look at these afterwards. So thank you to everybody. Great season. Congratulations to Noel on the championship, Matthew on the win. It's our off season for iRacing now. We step back and get to do the real stuff because we're on the racetrack at Scotia Speed World in 44 days. So we've got to get moving. So that's it for us. TCM Live is T-shirts. I forgot about that. T-shirts. Speed Sport. 2 weeks time. It's on brand this year. You can see them on your screen. We'll have them hopefully for Speed Sport when it opens up April 22 to 24 at the Moncton Coliseum. Come on up and see us. Chat some racing. Get out and I forget what the premier said. Dylan probably has it at the tip of his tongue. Go out and live life or something like that, or whatever the premier said. Follow that. Do that. That's it. TCM Live, Wednesday night. Adam Ross, the voice of the NASCAR Pinty Series, is going to join us. And there's probably going to be some more guests and some more news that we can't let you out of the bag yet. But just keep tabs of that. That's it for this side of the TCM side. We'll see you Wednesday night. Until then, keep the hammer down. We'll see you at the racetrack. Something about doing it live, and I don't know what I'm talking about, so we'll hand it over to Paul.
Yeah, thought about doing it live. We'll catch you on the flip side, all that good stuff. It's been a phenomenal season, Tim. It's been great to have TCM back here on the airwaves here at Verdane TV. And you made mention, without Verdane TV, that TCM would be somewhere, and that goes both ways. Without TCM, there would be no Verdane TV. Getting the very first mashed potatoes race on here 2 years ago now. Think about that. 2 years ago, we've been doing this. It's been a lot of fun. It's been great to work with guys like Dylan, guys like Jesse and Mike and you, and just different broadcast talents. Joe coming in, Joe Chisholm coming in from Racetime Radio. How cool is that? Being able to sit side by side and do commentary with some of these guys that do commentary at real racetracks. It's been an absolute blast for me. I've met a lot of personalities through TCM, through NEP, Verdane TV. We're kind of doing the long and sappy thing. That's it, man. This is our broadcast schedule. This is it. We're wrapped up for the year. We're gonna kick things back off this fall and this winter. NEP is gonna be back. You can bet on that. Gonna be season 4 for those guys. Gonna try and see if John Peters can defend his three-time reigning and defending championship of the Grand National Series, sponsored by Shift Marketing and Design. Those guys put on one heck of a show. We saw a heck of a show, a phenomenal show, a stupendous show here tonight with TCM Special Events, kicking it off here in the Shady Brook Showcase 250, third annual running. It's been a blast. It's been an absolute blast all season long. We're taking this show on the road. Verdane TV, we're putting iRacing kind of on the back burner just a little bit. I've kind of been dropping some hints and some lines and some one-liners. I bought an Enduro car. We're going Honda racing. We're going to get hopefully half a dozen or so races here at Waterford Speed Bowl. And I would like to get this car out on tour, as it were. So if you want to see the Verdane TV Enduro car at your local track, slide in our DMs. Let us know what's going on. We're going to need a little bit of help. I have no idea what I'm doing. I've been working with Run a Race Car for a long time, but I do tire pressures. I help guys get in and out of the car, first-time renters and stuff like that, first-time racers. Cool program. Check them out. Run a Race Car on Facebook. Talk to my boy Gary. He'll get you hooked up like a tow truck for sure. But that's it. We're done. Famous line from Tim Terry. It's getting warm out. Racetracks are opening up. Go outside. Go to your local racetrack. Call your best friend. Call your best friend's girlfriend. Hey, we're going short track racing tonight. We're going to go drink some beers, hang out at the local short track, and support your local short track. And be sure you go to the t-shirt booth and buy your favorite driver's t-shirt because it helps them out an absolute ton. But for everybody here at Tim's Corner Motorsports, Verdane TV, everybody that's helped us out throughout the past winter and fall months here at Verdane TV, got to give a shout out to my boys Kyle and Wes. Help me start this thing up with the broadcasting. I'm having a blast. It's been a long time since I've had fun with iRacing and sim racing as a whole. And Verdane TV is, I think, my calling. I think it works out very well, and we put out a pretty decent product. So big time shout out to all the fans as well. Everybody watching out on Facebook, out on YouTube, out on Twitch. Like, subscribe, follow, share, all that good stuff. We're done with iRacing. We're going real racing. We will see you at the local track. Look for the big guy with a red beard wearing a Verdane TV t-shirt. You'll be surprised at how many racetracks I'm going to hit this year. We will catch you on the flip side. When we do, we are going to be doing it live. We'll catch you next time here on Verdane TV.
Push.
Push.
Mike